Hey, what is going on, Feral Community? It's Blue. I do want to apologize. I'm wearing different outfits. Probably they're going to see. I ended up recording my vault, which I think is really fun. You guys might want to see that. I did get a BIS item from the vault. Unfortunately, it wasn't a tier gear, so a little upsetting, but I am happy with it. I recorded that, and then I just never uploaded it because I was playing and I was being lame. But, so we're going to go ahead and cut to that. But I'm also really glad that I didn't do that video because what I like to do is I want to do the vault video. And then I kind of want to talk about a build, right? What is the build that you probably want to be running in Mythic Plus environments? And I've changed my mind on a build. I've been doing a different build that I found to be very effective lately. So anyways, we'll go ahead to that. Let's cut to the vault. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And then we'll cut to me in the present later. Hey, what is going on, everybody? We are here opening up the vault. Now this week's weekly is 5 time walking dungeons, and then we have a cache of vault treasures. I know last week's I heard that could be tier, so maybe this is tier as well. So you're probably most likely going to do this. Probably most likely also going to do the raid before you open these. Now again, RNG for me. I did finally get a piece in the raid, but it was not tier. You guys are probably not going to like it. These are all my trinkets, by the way. This was my last week's weekly quest. But these are all my trinkets. I have like all the BIS trinkets. So this was the gear that dropped for me, which was pretty cool. Actually, these are really good, so I'm pretty happy with all the trinkets. But as far as rating goes, only the 2 set. So basically from the vault, we're looking for a tier piece, or if I can get like a trinket or a weapon, because I did actually do some 20s. Here we can see the IO. I went really hard, you guys. Probably, I know liked it quite a bit. So I did a 20, I did a 21 that wasn't timed. But basically the vault is filled with 18s and that 120. And then, oh gosh, hopefully I'm feral spec. Sometimes I go guardian in my keys. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Woo. Oh, well this isn't good. We will probably just grab these wrists and be done with wrists. Because this is our BIS wrist, which isn't really great. I could grab these trinkets, or I mean these pants. These are crit mastery. These are crit haste. The thing about the pants is they give me so many stats. But like, it would be really nice to just have an item that you're completely done with. I'm not really sure about this trinket, but like my trinkets are pretty good. Like it's only 408 too. So yeah, I'm actually probably just grabbing this wrist, which as far as like strength goes, extremely, extremely weak. But it's like this is one item I will never need again, which is kind of nice, right? So we kind of got stuck. Pants. Let me take a look at the raid and see, because those are 418, right? So what kind of pants are... We want tier pants, but what is heroic drop like? Can this even drop for us? Those are legs. So these are only 402. And mythic, which I probably won't ever do, this is 415. So those are the highest legs we're going to get, and we can eventually turn those into tier. But again, let's just RNG kind of the loot. So really terrible vault for me. But we did get a BIS item, so I guess that's pretty happy. And the funny thing is, I was even thinking about doing some PvP just to increase my odds of getting a tier, and I didn't. So, boom. We will just be happy with this, and this will 20 nuke offensive. Is that one really difficult this week? That one may be pretty... Alright everybody, every time I try to record this video, it is like forever. It lasts forever. We are not going to try to do that, okay? I do want to go over the talents that I'm running this week, and they have changed from the last time we did Tyrannical. Now, last time we did Tyrannical, we were running basically a bite build, which consisted of, hey, I'm Primal Wrathing, sure. I'm no longer Tear Open Wounds, but I'm investing in Taste for Blood. And the idea behind that is, hey, it's going to benefit me in AoE and as well as single target, and that's kind of the idea of tyrannical. As I found myself getting into higher and higher keys, the bosses surviving forever, basically, I've actually gone back to a bleed more specific build, and also that probably is because I'm very much Mastery Haste statted, okay? Now, is Mastery Haste statted going to really help this bite build? No. Is it going to help this bleed build? Yes. So I have found myself doing this. Feral in general is not high single target. You are going to be lower on the single target. You're going to make forward up into AoE. Is that great and tyrannical? No. But it is what it is, right? So basically the build is the normal AoE. I am taking double quad rake and taking that out for Lunar Inspiration. I do not use this in AoE. Sometimes in case like it's a really far mob and you have a situation available, but usually it's not in my general rotation. I am no longer doing Tireless Energy. Maybe I'll come back to it, but I've actually really enjoyed going Moment of Clarity. For me, the way AoE works with Primal Wrath, it's basically AoE is Primal Wrath spamming, right? And you get your free bite procs once in a while. It's not energy intensive. It's very cheap to do this type of rotation, very easy. So the only time I really feel kind of crappy about not having tireless energy is in single target, and I look at my meters, my energy meters, and I was like, damn, that guy's got to go up really far before I can bite again, right? And that kind of feels bad. But then again, I know, hey, the only time it really feels bad is in single target. But in single target, Moment of Clarity is more damage, right? So it's like, it feels kind of crappy, but I know that this is actually the better choice. So I have been doing it, and I haven't been really feeling terrible about it, other than watching my energy have to go really, really high before I can bite. But that's just a me thing, right? And then for Tyrannical, we're going to go ahead and switch these out to the red one, which is Raging Fury. And then obviously the only other choice that I'm doing is I'm taking one of the points out from Carnivorous Instinct, which is more of an AoE talent, and putting it into Adaptive Swarm. Yes, AoE and single target. Yes, I understand. I probably made a mistake saying that. But generally, I feel like you get more use out of this in AoE situations where a target will die, you can Tiger's Fury, and you're just continually going. You know, like in AoE situations, you could be fighting for a minute, you know, do back-to-back pulls, and you're just like boom, 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 and things are dying, and your Tiger's Fury stays up really consistently. So really, really helpful in AoE situations. On single target is still pretty good because you're running Raging Fury, but again, the uptime on that single target is not as good. So we are going to run Adaptive Swarm. And again, this is exactly like the Moonfire, where it's basically just a single target option, right? I'm not doing this in AoE rotations unless it's a big mob that is staying alive and everybody else dies. And I'm like, okay, cool, that AoE just turned into one single target, and now I can just Adaptive Swarm and Moonfire him. But basically, this is the build I'm running. I find it to be very successful. Unfortunately, this is my damage meters for the last dungeon done. Not the best dungeon to really talk about and display the damage meters because it is Algathar Academy, which even though it is tyrannical, is still really heavily AoE. So that is unfortunate. This is the last boss. I just kind of want to say, you know, so hey, the build is effective. I mean, this is a very heavily AoE situation as well. I'm probably most likely outgearing this group. I am very heavily geared as well. So my damage is going to show. But you can see it's there. This is the last boss, so, you know, I should have more higher damage because these guys have to run away and can't damage the boss, where I run away and my big damage spells are still on the boss, right? But it's pretty good. I'm enjoying the build. I think it's very good. I ran this in my 20 no-cood offensive. It worked really, really well. Unfortunately, it probably wasn't the best display in no-cood offensive as well. Because a lot of that dungeon was playing very safe. The third boss, I play very safe. I go bear form a lot. I go out of melee a lot. And then the last boss, I played safe as well, and I'm glad I did because we had a lot of people wiping, and I had to use all the B-reses. So that damage probably wouldn't be very good to show as well. But anyways, let's talk about stats, and hopefully this isn't super, super long. I'm getting a ton of comments, you guys, and not that I am getting tired of it. I know everybody's running Mastery Crit. I know. And you know what? I'm going to raise my hand to the square, and I'm going to tell you, Mastery Crit is the best stats to run if you do not have Forset. okay? If you have foresight, I think people are going to come to a realization that, hey, maybe Mastery Haste is the way, okay? I'm going to tell you that. I know people are running Mastery Crit. You do not have to tell me. I'm the only one telling people to run Mastery Haste. And I'm very much used to everybody saying that dude's wrong. Okay, I know you don't need to tell me. And I'm getting tired of like explaining to people my thought process. Okay, so let's just make this video. Let's try to do it as quickly as possible. Look, beta access is no longer available. I had beta access. I do not know why people did not test this during beta, because it would have been the perfect environment. You have the talents, you can use crafting gear to its maximization, where it's just like basically you craft gear for free, which meant, hey, I can test out builds and I could test out builds with stats, okay? Nobody did that. Maybe some people did it. I myself didn't do it. I was driving in the car thinking about the game and I was like, oh, you know what? Just this random thought. I'm like, maybe I should try out Mastery Haste. Okay? And I had to convince myself to do it because I was like, bro, it's just going to be a waste of time. Like, how would it be good ever? And I had to convince myself. And then I was like, okay, I'll try it, right? And then I tried it and I was like, holy crap, something's going on here. It is good. And then once you start digging into the talents, which a lot of people didn't know the talents at the time, and they're like, oh my gosh, freaking Apex is benefited by Mastery. This specific, or is benefited by Haste. That specific talent is super strong with more Haste. And then obviously there's other things. A lot of these are bleed focus, rips. You know, who knew that rip would be so much damage, right? We didn't know. A lot of these things we didn't know in beta, and people just didn't test them. People went into beta and they're like, Feral is Mastery Crit. When is it ever not Mastery Crit? Never. You know? Okay, so I'm going to tell you it is me against the world, but I'm probably the only person that actually tested it. Okay? So I have that going for myself. Also, what can I say? What can I say about it? Look, and this is how I try to convince people about it. Oh my gosh, here we go. What information do we have other than saying, hey, Blue tested it, but I don't know Blue. Maybe Blue's a retard like everybody says, you know? Can I believe what he says? I don't know. Well, we can look at Blood Mount. Blood Mount has some sims, but they simulate a single target. But there is something to learn about this, so let's just see what information is to learn. They're running a completely single target build. No Primal Wrath, unfortunately. This would resolve my problems entirely if they sim that. Lunar Inspiration, completely single target. Adaptive Swarm, single target. Feral Frenzy, okay. Very much single target. I would not do this build if you're progressing without Survival Instincts, but it is what it is. This is the top simming build, so you run what you want. And the stats, what do the stats look like? 40% invest in Mastery, 30% invest in Crit, 20% in Haste, okay? Now, what happens if we do this patchwork? Patchwork, it's the same build. We already know this is an extremely single target build. So you have to think for yourself, well, if I took this build in a 5-target scenario, what do I do, right? You know, just ask yourself, what would you do? I myself, since I'm running Adaptive Swarm, I would probably just stay, this is my main target, and I'm probably just going to maybe tab target Rake, possibly tab target Rake Moonfire to some of the things, but that's 5 targets is a lot. You probably don't want to Moonfire since Rake is so much damage. You probably just want to tab target Rake and then get back to your main target. If that, you have to squeeze that in while maintaining your Blood Talons, which can be pretty difficult. It's very much staying on your single target. Okay, you have the opportunity to Rake and whatnot. So to me, this is very much still single target, but your AoE abilities actually AoE. So we're talking about Thrash, Brutal Slash, and then again, maybe you're tab targeting Rake. Maybe not. Okay? So you kind of have to think about how would you do in this scenario. But what do we see stat-wise? Okay? We see that there is 10% less crit, and they are investing that instead into Mastery. Now, what can we learn from this data? Well, and I've told you this, in AoE, crit is less valuable. Why is it less valuable? Well, your AoE spells can actually AoE and crit. If you have an AoE opportunity, crit becomes less valuable because it's more likely to occur, okay? Now, they didn't invest this in Haste at all, and most likely the reason they didn't invest this in Haste at all is because, like I said, it's probably very much still for you running this build a single target fight, but your AoE abilities that you're pressing single target are actually going to cleave, right? So those stats aren't probably going to change. So crit becomes less valuable in AoE situations, and then you just go back to your data and you kind of have to use your own brain and you see, okay, well, crit becomes less valuable in AoE situations, I know that, but crit does increase the damage of my spells, but this is one of the only expansions that, hey, there are other stats that also increase the damage of your spells. Haste can also do that, right? And like we talked about, haste has beneficial effect of also working really well with Apex Predator's cravings. So you can look at these and you're like, my top damage, let's say I have 4 set, which I don't. Rip is going to be much higher. Rake is going to be much higher. Bite will be slightly higher, and the only reason it's slightly higher is because you're going to have 10% increased crit for 4 seconds, so maybe you'll get a bite proc in between that, and you can do it if your rotation's quickly. So maybe a little bit higher just because you have a little bit more crits. Brutal Slash is going to stay the same, and then Thrash is going to be increased, and then Tear Open Wounds is going to be greatly increased if you're doing the correct rotation, right? So you're going to see these things increase by a significant amount, and then you're going to be like, ooh, how do I manipulate those? Well, I can manipulate those with haste, okay? So that's basically it. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Run your own stuff. I do think there's going to be a wave of people once they get 4 set. I don't think a lot of people have 4 set yet. Once they do get 4 set, I think there's going to be a wave of people being like, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to run Mastery Haste because Mythic Plus is important to me, and that's the best stat to really, be doing a crazy amount of damage. Is it a big deal if you're not running that? No, it's not. I mean, it's a big deal if you want to recraft your weapon with the correct missive, in my opinion, or your other stats. But you could even run crit mastery or mastery crit, and it's still fine. But yeah. So that it is what it is. Hopefully this isn't long. Peace out, everybody. Good luck in your vaults. Good luck in your raid. Hopefully you get that tier set. If you got that 4 tier set, let me know how much damage you're doing. I'm sure it is lovely. But that's it. Take it easy, everybody. Peace.